Let's talk Broncos and Falcons now on Chat Sports, because there is a report from Woody Page, the longtime Denver Broncos reporter and former ESPN analyst, their guest, whatever you want to call it there. He says the Broncos and Falcons have had trade talks about a potential draft day move in which the Denver Broncos jump up to number 4 to get whatever quarterback they are currently pursuing and desperately want to be their franchise savior, who's not named Drew Lock. And the Falcons then would move down and acquire extra assets. Now, background note here, there have been several reports that the Falcons want to move down. Their cost, however, likely pretty high. Woody Page did specify what he thinks the cost would be. Here's what he had together in his trade package. Denver Broncos get, of course, number 4 overall. A 5th-round pick as well, because the Falcons have 3 of them. He did not specify which round pick it would be. And then the Falcons receive a 1st-round pick, number 9 overall, a 3rd-round pick, number 71, and a future 1st-rounder. So who says no? Get your votes in here for me. B for the Broncos, F for the Falcons. I think of the options here, unless Atlanta just wants to move down because they don't want to take Kyle Pitts and they want to move down for somebody else on the defensive side of the ball, I think the Falcons say no. The trade value chart says this is about fair, but remember, folks, the trade value chart goes out the window, as we saw with the Niners-Dolphins trade, when you are moving up for a franchise quarterback. It becomes more expensive. Now, the expectation right now is that Trevor Lawrence goes 1, Zach Wilson goes 2, although he's my number 3 quarterback prospect, and then one of Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones go off the board at number 3, and that would leave at least one of Fields or Lance, the 2 names most routinely connected to the Denver Broncos, on the board at number 4. And if they don't believe in Drew Lock, I would highly encourage Denver to go out and get their guy, because I am a big fan of Fields, and I am prepared to risk it all for Trey Lance as well. If I could get one of those guys, even though there's a newish regime in terms of the front office with George Payton as the new GM, I think that makes sense for Denver, even though the cost would be expensive. For the Falcons, meanwhile, if you move down, you're not going to get Kyle Pitts. Penei Sewell's probably off the board as well. That leaves a list that looks something like this. Patrick Surtain, who of these guys I think makes the most sense for them, fills a big-time need at cornerback, is for me at least, the number 1 defensive player in this year's class. Rashawn Slater might be the best player overall on their board. Do they want a linebacker? Micah Parsons? An edge rusher is a huge need. Do they trust the medical stuff for Jalen Phillips? There's J.C. Horn as well if they don't want Surtain. So the Falcons could move down if that's something that they really wanted to pursue. I will make note, and this is very important as well, there are other reports out of Denver that, no, wait a minute, the Broncos have not had talks yet with the Atlanta Falcons. So somebody here is wrong, and or they're being lied to by their sources. The Broncos have been heavily linked to quarterbacks this offseason. And I will float this out there as just a thing to make note of. If you are Denver, and you are trying to move up to number 4, it behooves you to not let that information get out. Because you know what happens then? Other teams might try to move up. And meanwhile, if you're the Falcons and you do want to move down, actually makes sense to leak that information so that more teams try to move up to number 4. So I don't know who's right, who's wrong, whatever. It does make some logical sense if Denver does not believe in Drew Lock. I think the cost would be more than what Woody Page had suggested. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, or if it even happens. So will the Broncos and Falcons end up making a deal? Get your votes in for me. Type Y for yes they will, or type N for no they won't. Trey Lance held his pro day today, his second pro day actually. The lead team, if you will, who was at the pro day was the San Francisco 49ers, right? They're looking to see which quarterback they want at number 3. Their plans are still rather unknown. They've gone to Mac Jones's, and now the second version of both Justin Fields and Trey Lance. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan were in attendance as well. Plenty of intrigue surrounding the Niners and Trey Lance. Of course, there is no guarantee the Niners take Lance at number 3. That still is very much up in the air. And there were several other teams looking at the locked and loaded round 1 pick. Lance is a difficult evaluation for a couple different reasons. start with the positives, right? He dominated North Dakota State. And it was very obvious watching him play against the FCS level of competition. He did not belong out there in the sense that he was clearly a substantially better player. Trey Lance, every time he took the field, was the best player on the football field. And frankly, it wasn't even all that close. No disrespect to other North Dakota State players, but he was the best of that grouping out there. He dominated the competition. Of course, he barely played football last year. There are some accuracy concerns. He has the size, the athletic ability, the arm strength that you want. There's a lot of questions around everything else, though, which means checking him out is certainly important for NFL teams. There were 4 notable teams present at Lance's Pro Day today. The 49ers picking number 3, the Falcons picking number 4, the Denver Broncos at 9, and the Patriots at number 15. Could it be a smokescreen? Maybe. But I think it is at least noteworthy that the Falcons, Broncos, and Patriots are all doing their due diligence on a potential franchise quarterback, given some long-term uncertainty for those teams. And the Falcons have Matt Ryan for now. Denver, probably a little bit more murky with just Drew Lock as a borderline starting caliber quarterback on their team. Now, there were also, I feel worth mentioning here, teams not at Trey Lance's Pro Day. Carolina at number 8, Washington at 19, the Bears at 20. Could it be a smokescreen for those teams as well? Absolutely possible. Maybe they didn't want to telegraph a potential trade up if you're Washington or Chicago. But where Trey Lance goes, whether it's 3, 4, somewhere else, will have major implications throughout the 2021 NFL Draft, especially if a team like the Falcons want to take him, or if the Broncos want to go up and get him, or if they just sit pat and he falls to them. So let me know in the comments section, folks. Where do you believe Trey Lance will go? Who is going to draft him in the 2021 NFL Draft? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Let's chat Melvin Gordon now on Broncos Breakdown. Is he being overlooked? If you believe Gordon, the answer is yes. In general, quick aside, NFL players always feel they are disrespected. It's a great way to get a chip on your shoulder and play just a little bit better. Gordon says he's one of the league's best backs, and he wants to prove that and help the Broncos win a Super Bowl, all the stuff you would fully expect any player to say as they hype themselves up and mention winning because that's what the fans want to hear as well. And of course, I believe Gordon fully there on top of that. Here's what Gordon said about being overlooked. I just want to come out and be the best back. I would love the rushing title. You know what I mean? I want to be the best back. I feel I am so overlooked. Whatever that case may be, because we didn't get a lot of TV time with the Chargers, and last year was putting the ball and fans not being there because of COVID, I don't know. But I get overlooked a lot, and I am kind of sick of it. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to respond to Gordon on today's video. Do you think he is overlooked? Type A for yes or type in B for no. Now, my initial reaction was, I don't think so. He's a good, not great football player. So I was going to type in my B for no. But then I thought about it. If I say Melvin Gordon is overlooked, doesn't that mean if I say he's not overlooked, does that mean that he is? And if you say yes, he is overlooked, doesn't that mean you're not overlooking him? It's confusing, but it also makes sense. So get your votes in. A for yes, B for no. Now, Gordon did split time last year with the now departed Philip Lindsay, who's on the Houston Texans. Averaged 4.6 yards per carry. That is better than what he's averaged previously over his career, which is just over 4.1. It's not great if we're being honest. And there was the down 2019 season, but he got $8 million per year. That's a pretty good price tag in today's marketplace for a backfield guy. Gordon should have the opportunity to improve on these numbers, if only from a volume perspective. Lindsay is gone. That leaves of note here, the guys the casual fan has heard of, if we're being honest, Melvin Gordon, Royce Freeman, and then the recently signed Mike Boone. Freeman's fine. Boone's shown some flashes there. I think pretty easily, though, Melvin Gordon is the best player on that depth chart. So does he get 300 carries? No, probably not. But he might get to 250, and that'll put him at 1,000 yards. I don't know if he's going to beat the likes of, Derrick Henry, of Nick Chubb if he's healthy for a year, for the title in terms of most yards on the ground. But with Lindsay now out, I do think that will lead to more production and a bigger role for Melvin Gordon, which A, will help him not feel overlooked, and also B, he's a free agent after this year ends. He might get another payday next offseason if things go the way he wants them to.